Here we are, foggy day at the flea market. Over there is building number 1. They have one vinyl vendor over there. Then we have over here buildings 2 and 3. Buildings 2 has no vinyl vendors. Building 3 has 3 vinyl vendors in it. And then finally over here, that little house by itself is another vinyl vendor occupying that place. So let's have a look and see what we can find. Hello record collectors. So I was out to the flea market yesterday, picked up a few things. The main purpose of going out to the flea market was just to plug a few holes in my collection of a few classical bands from the 70s. I got 4 records that I was sort of looking for, and I'll show those at a later time when I probably do a feature on the band themselves. But I picked up a few others as well, and I'll just show you what I picked up very quickly. The first one is the Revolting Cocks on wax tracks. This is sort of like an EP. The next is the Jesus and Mary chain. Their first album, Psycho Candy, is an absolute classic, one of my all-time favorites. And one I picked up was Lena Lovitch. She's sort of the punk artist, hung out with Nina Hagen back in the 70s and 80s, and actually they're still hanging out together now doing concerts. She had a couple big hits in the 70s like New Toy. Here's one I saw, so I decided to pick it up. Not a super huge fan of Michael Jackson, but I saw it there, pretty reasonably priced. It was in pretty good shape. I never owned any Michael Jackson until about a year ago when I was at the flea market, and they had Thriller and Off the Wall in mint condition for $5 each, so I picked those 2 up. So I saw this one yesterday, and I figured, what the heck, it was cheap, in reasonably good shape. So I picked that one up. I picked up 3 of these. These are priced pretty cheap. I think they're like $5 a piece, and they're pretty good. I've got some of these already. And what these are the direct-to-master 16-track audiophile recordings of artists from the 60s. And what they have done on some of these albums is the original artists have gone back into the studio and recorded once again the song that they were famous for in the 60s. But this time it's an audiophile recording, so that the sound quality is superior. So this one features the rock and roll era, and on there we've got like the Diamonds and the Kingsmen, D. Clark. These are also like very good heavy vinyl, and then the vinyl itself is sort of pancaked between cardboard protective sleeves or whatever. This is the same idea. This is soul music. So here we got like Eddie Floyd on this one, for example, Sam and Dave. There's a couple others. And what they do is when you look at the information in there, they actually give you how they've recreated the original studio, right down to the type of wood on the floor and all that. And when the artists did the recordings again, for example, looks like most of these recordings were made in 1976, re-recordings of the original hits that were back in the 60s. Again, another one. Again, this is again rock and roll from the 60s with Little Richard is on there, Chubby Checker, Leslie Gore. Leslie Gore is famous for It's My Party, I'll Cry If I Want To. Same thing, and the inside it gives you information on how the album was recorded. Again, like here, for example, Leslie Gore recorded hers in March 1978. It's My Party Not Cry, which probably came out originally in '65. So, and they give you all the technical information on how the recordings were made. You really do hear the difference on these. So a few rear buys or whatever. I just happened to see this. It was dirt cheap, I think $5 or whatever. Meet the Raisins. Sort of like a novelty album. I collect them when I see them and they're cheap and they're in good shape. This particular vendor who sells most of what I've shown you here, very good vendor. He cleans all the records on his VDI machine and inspects them first. So anything that he sells is always near mint quality. The last one I'll show, again, it was like when I mentioned when I went to the Oshawa vinyl show. On the way out the door, I decided to make a sort of off the top of my head purchase. Picked up a Olivia Newton-John, so I did the same thing on this one trip. So we're going out the door, it was really cheap, excellent shape. So I decided, I have no idea what it would sound like, but I decided to pick it up. And it's Twiggy. And if you don't know, Twiggy was a sort of like one of the original supermodels from back in the 60s. Noted for being super skinny. So I thought, well, I'd give it a shot to see what it's like on the Philips label. And this is pretty much almost country. So it's okay. I mean, it sounds okay. It's just can sing a bit, but wouldn't want to spend more if I. But just to show, when I see albums like this where you got someone singing and like music is not their primary vocation. For example, Twiggy was a model. I like to always check them out and see what they're like. And there's a good example here. This is not from the flea market yesterday, but Peggy Lipton, for example. She was an actress who starred in the show The Mod Squad. So when I see albums like this, I like to, and they're not too expensive, I'll pick them up just to see how that person sounds like. I think this album used to go for a little bit of money on eBay a few years ago. I don't know what it's like now. This one is okay too. It's nothing great. So that's pretty much what I got at the flea market there yesterday. I don't think I'll be going back anymore till the spring now. Not a heck of a lot going on there. A few vendors. At least the prices were very good. All the vendors that I dealt with. Well, I dealt with just 3 of the vendors that were there. All of them, though, were discounting the records quite a bit. So generally you're not paying much more than $5 or $10 for a record. And in a lot of cases, if the record was $10, it's buy one, get one free type thing. So, and if something was more than $20, they were taking 20–25% off. So there was certainly some good deals there if the records were ones that you were interested in, worth checking out. So as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.